around here was when we got the smart meter. And then this one shows when we got our new boiler, and there was a big drop in usage there. It's great to be able to just log on and see a difference to my usage. It's really motivating.
Whoever would have thought that the simple term standby could cost us so much money? I'm going to have a look at how you find out how much electricity you're using and just how much we all waste. Hello and welcome to another episode of Fully Charged. Now, it might just be a dad thing, you know, shouting at your kids, telling them to turn the lights off when they leave the room. But how much does it actually cost to leave the lights on all the time, even when you don't need them? And what about phone chargers when they're not charging anything? Or the telly when it's on standby? Or even the computer when it's asleep? So I've got this little gizmo. This is an energy monitor, and this can tell me down to the last second how much electricity I'm using at any given time. It's really easy to install and they cost about 30 quid. So all I had to do was clip this little collar onto the mains feed that goes into the house, and that sends a signal from this transmitter here. So any of us can have an energy meter like the one I've got at home, but what we really need is like the next generation, a smart meter. A smart meter tells you so much more. It tells you exactly how much energy you're using. It allows you to control how you use that energy. It even tells you, if you've got something like solar panels, how much energy you're sending into the grid, so you know down to the last penny how much you're making and how much you're spending. So I've come along to this house because they're having a smart meter installed. This, I predict, is the future. So I'm here with Chris and Molly today, and they're having a smart meter installed. So it's still being installed at the moment, but Chris, you know about the basic gist of what's going on. You've also got solar panels on your roof.
I have indeed, yes.
So is that when the smart meter is up and running fully, will that tell you, how much information will you get from it?
Well, the smart meter itself is going to tell me exactly what electricity I'm actually generating, but more importantly, what I'm actually using today with my appliances in the house. So it'll give me a better idea of my energy consumption rather than waiting for 3 months for the bill.
Are smart meters then just a kind of trendy new thing? Everybody would go, oh yeah, I'm really cool, I've got a smart meter. I mean, do they cost a lot of money to put in?
Well, smart meters have been introduced by all the companies, and there's actually no cost to the customer whatsoever.
So now I'm in Loretta's kitchen. She's very kindly allowed us to come in. She's made me a cup of tea, and she knows exactly how much it's cost to boil the water because she's got a smart meter. So I mean, yeah, how much influence do you think it's had on you having the smart meter? I mean, are you obsessively checking it all the time?
Massively.
Oh, are you? Oh,
absolutely, right. Massively. So at the moment, it's causing a few arguments between me and my partner.
Right.
You can actually see what you're using in pounds. So I'm focusing now more on the usage rather than, you know, you meter it so
you've definitely noticed then, even in the short time, you've had a change in your habits.
Absolutely. Right. Like now I want to be turning, you know, the lights off in the house and, you know, leaving like clocks that don't need to be. So we did have a plug-in clock, so I've changed that now for a battery operated one because we only use it for the alarm. Yeah. So it is small changes, and then hopefully I'll be able to look at my bills from last year compared to this year and see a decrease, because I am more energy efficient. That's why I signed on to having the smart meters installed, because I want to be paying less. Yeah. And it's not all about which supplier you go with. It's down to yourself and what you're using.
Yes, it makes that relationship between you and your power provider a real two-way street, whereas before it was like they gave the power and I had the vaguest notion of what I was using. I'm now at Steve's house. Steve has a smart meter. Now, how long have you had this, Steve? It's still quite a new thing, is it?
Yes, that's right. It's about 5 or 6 weeks now that we've had it.
Initially, has it made any difference in the way you use energy?
It has. Turning a kettle on, something as simple as that, which you do every day, you notice how far up the meter actually goes and how much of a difference that actually makes.
I mean, do you think before you had this, you had any idea of sort of how many kilowatt hours you were using in a day or any of that kind of information?
Yeah, I mean, kilowatt hours are sort of like your standard practice, whereas this will actually show you how much money you're using, which is the most transparent part about it. It's not estimated. It's actually linked to the British gas billing system. So obviously cuts anyone needing to come out and read the meter.
Yes. And so have you noticed then, the same thing with my children, that they cannot leave a room with the lights off. They have to leave them on. I mean, have they changed that at all? Have you noticed any change?
There won't be a change there, I don't think. I mean, not even with a smart meter.
It's me clutching at straws, thinking maybe that would change the way they behave. No chance.
Not even with that.
Certainly on the little energy monitor I've got, I did notice a noticeable drop when I turned the TV off, like at the wall,
yes.
On standby with all your boxes and other gubbins onto it.
Something that you mentioned earlier about turning everything off, trying to get it down to the very last sort of kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
We have tried doing that, and it was quite surprising just how many things you have to think about to turn off.
How a house could be wired in the future is that there is sort of somewhere under here, under a kind of, even with a lock, there's the switch that just kills everything at night, except the essentials. It would be so much easier rather than having to go, because I walk around the house at night cursing, stubbing my toe in the dark because I'm using a torch because I don't want to put the lights on. And you then this is getting a little bit obsessive. So all in all then, you've been pleased to get it. I mean, it's been a...
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the longer you have it, the more history you've got to look back on.
Yes.
And you begin to notice patterns forming, and you can begin to see a seasonal change. Obviously, you're going to use more over Christmas and over winter than you would through the summer. And so that's going to be quite interesting now when the weather heats up a bit. Just to knock the heating off.
Yes. And see the difference that makes. Yeah. So we're going to do a quick test of energy monitoring now using the smart meter. At the moment, Steve is using 7 pence an hour of electricity, so not very much. But if we boil the kettle, Steve, if you wouldn't mind firing up the kettle, we'll see what difference that makes. Amount per hour, it's gone up to 74p an hour from 7, so it's 10 times more. No, I mean, if you were a real sort of data nerd, you could work out the exact price of a cup of tea, couldn't you? Down to the cost of your water, that much water.
Absolutely.
The milk.
With this, it's absolutely possible. And
you could have some serious fun with spreadsheets, but you might not have a life.